order the City of LaPorte Historic Preservation Commission meeting for December 16th, 2025 at 5:30. Let's start out with roll call. Krista Hurley King.
Here.
Bruce Johnson.
Present.
Peter Steele.
Here.
Fonda Owens.
Here.
And of course, I am Sally LaRocco. Joining us also is the wonderful Deb Parcell for her final installment from Indiana Landmarks, and David Heinold, our city planner. On to the Pledge of Allegiance. All right. So since we have a quorum here this evening, we do have to approve the meeting minutes from both September and November. We didn't have a meeting in October, so take a few minutes to look those over, and if anybody can remember September, and we will get those approved.
It says that on September, letter C, that a motion was approved to donate $148 from the account to pay for to cover the cost of the printing of the coloring books.
I'm sorry, could you repeat that, Bruce?
For the September minutes, Part C. Explains that I delivered all the coloring books, and we need to approve a donation of $148 to cover the cost of the printing. But I noticed we just voted on $100.
Because there was an additional $100 that was unaccounted for when the final bill came. So we just,
Did somebody not pay their $100? Is that what happened?
The original motion from the September meeting was just to donate $148, but we had to go back and donate an additional $100 to cover the full cost of printing, to write the check to Hawkins for the $1,448.
so what he's asking is,
We're
does
short.
someone not pay their donated? No, we
We were just short 100.
just
Yeah.
incorrectly.
Because each sponsor was to give $100, and I just wondered if somebody just didn't pay, so.
Sounds like it just was more than we thought it would be. But
Anyway, okay.
they're
I don't know what
paid.
happened, but
They're paid, and we can do it another year. So
hopefully we can pay it earlier.
So do we need to amend, David, do we need to amend the minutes from September because we've changed the donation amounts, or those two separate events?
Nope,
Okay.
not needed, two separate, yep.
No, can't change past. So I'll make the motion to approve the minutes of the September 16th, 2025 meeting and the November 19th, 2025 meeting.
Is there any Further discussion?
I'll second that.
Okay, thank you for the second, Peter. All in favor of approving the September 16th minutes and the November 19th minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries. Moving on. David, do we have any correspondence updates?
No correspondence updates.
Okay, so moving on, we get to vote on a couple of reimbursement and bill paying things. So the first two are just to members of the HPC. Paying Krista back for the awesome stickers from the Sunflower Fair. Krista, do you remember how much they were? I couldn't remember when David and I were talking about it.
I'm going to say, no, don't worry about it, because those stickers fell apart as soon as you washed your mugs and stuff. So I'm not gonna make you guys pay that, that's my fault.
I don't love that. But, okay. The train was $343. $143 worth of that tree is going to be coming to my house. So I would like it if the HPC would reimburse me for the $200 of the tree that will not fit in my house.
I'd like to make a motion to reimburse you for $200 for the Christmas tree that you didn't use. Part.
I second that.
Woohoo, first and a second. I've been joining, all in favor of reimbursing for the Christmas tree bottom half, say aye.
Aye.
I,
Any opposed? All right, motion carries. And then finally, if you look back a little bit, kind of towards the end of our packet today, there is the invoice from BJ's Locksmith. So while we were at the train station, we got locked out of some rooms. And so we had to have a locksmith come and unlock us. And so we were also just volunteering to pay for that out of our little nest egg, since it was our mistake. The good news is I learned something about commercial locks, and it will never happen again. I can get us into any room. Where would you like to go?
a couple of coat hangers and a pulley system.
Yeah. So I would like to make the motion that we pay the locksmith bill from the candlelight tour out of our super secret fund.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Peter. All in favor of approving the locksmith bill, say aye.
I,
Aye.
Any opposed? Super, motion carries. All of our bills are paid heading into the new year. Way to go, guys. Because it is the end of the year, we don't have any committee reports heading into January. We are going to be talking a little bit about what we're moving towards next year and what the big project is for our group. We're finally able to take a step forward and do something to help benefit the whole community of Porte. So we're going to kind of talk about the direction that we've received on that. But that's a new committee, not an old committee. Do you want to do education session first, or do we want to do goal setting for signage and?
Whichever suits you.
Okay, well then I'll hammer through my stuff and then
Okay.
and take a seat and listen to you for the final time. Okay, so it's under old business because we've talked about it before, but this next year, we are going to sign the town. We're finally going to use that little bit of extra money in our budget and write for some grants and get cohesive signage throughout LaPorte. And it's not going to be limited to the Indiana-Michigan Avenue Historic Neighborhood. We're going to you know, like Walker District, all the different neighborhoods are gonna get some, signage. And we're also gonna be working towards, helping come up with a plan to fund individual home signage as well. So currently, we have an approved plaque for signs. People can come into City Hall when their home is designated and order the, you know, like the approved verbiage for the houses. We're gonna try to get enough money scraped together that when folks have a designated house, that the plaque is a gift. So that's we do need to, I want everyone to think about, like, what are the goals with the signage? What are I want a list of neighborhoods, important intersections. Any suggestions you have, write them down, throw them in an email, and we'll get it all in one place and kind of set the list of priorities for where do we want to start. We do have someone on staff here at the city that can write the grants for us. And we've maybe identified a grant that'll at least get us started. And the only goal that I have is that it's a cohesive look. So we kind of set a standard for something that will apply everywhere. That's the only thing that I really care about. Okay? Any comments on that? David, let's talk about the app for the history sites. Would you please? Do you remember what it's called? No?
I think I downloaded it.
Mm-hmm. Amy?
Amy knows.
AutoCast. So AutoCast, we're gonna start, I would like to talk to you guys about. AutoCast is an app, and it's kind of like a place finding app. So you can go on the app and just pull up a spot, and there's little bubbles, and you click on the bubbles, and it'll tell you about whatever that bubble is. So like in Michigan City, they use it for the public art installations. So you can use AutoCast, click on the bubble, and it tells you about that piece of artwork. And then there's also like a blurb that's like narrated by an individual. And then you can tie it to QR codes. So, for example, Plaza 618, the Jiffy Pop sculpture is going there, right? The Jiffy Pop thing. And so we could have a QR code on there that prompts the person to download AutoCast. It's free, and they can learn about Jiffy Pop in LaPorte. It can be narrated by a wonderful, laudable local historian. This is like, who's that? And we can use it all over the place. So every designated property, we can, upload a photo, the history of the property, et cetera. And it's not, and we can turn it into whatever we want. The cost to get started is very inexpensive. It's $50 a year. It's $50 to get started. And then I think it's, what was it after that, Amy, $20? She doesn't remember.
Well,
That's Dale's.
Yeah,
That's Dale's department.
it was around, it was very, very minimal.
It's very reasonable. The biggest push is going to be getting it up to begin with. So I would like us, while we're here, to make a list. Well, I would like to make a list of where we'd like to start. So I think if we set a goal of maybe 5 properties to start, so that next month we can vote on, when we're on to next 2026's money, we can vote on spending the money to start the app and what properties we're going to start with. Does that make sense? And everybody has a chance to noodle around with AutoCast in the month between now and then. AutoCast. I wish it had a better name, but we'll go with it. And then we're also gonna partner with, if you guys approve AutoCast next month, we're gonna partner with Michigan City LaPorte Visitors Bureau to help, advertise that this is available in LaPorte. There we go. Any questions? Because our two main directions from the mayor are education and outreach. And so these two things kind of cover both of those.
Who pays the $50 and what does that pay, what is that for?
Yeah, so, in our upcoming annual budget, so previous to this year, the budget allocation from the city that was,
I'll stop right there. What I meant was, is it to be a host on this app? I guess, like, so we as the HPC are gonna pay $50 to the website or the whatever, the app. So then, does somebody have to maintain this, or then just everybody can go on LaPorte and add the bubble? Or is this just then one person
oh
that adds a
no,
bubble?
we will be the only ones that have
Okay,
access to
that's what I was trying to
the-
figure out.
the bubble distribution system.
Okay, so we are hosting it for LaPorte,
Yeah,
since
but we're
nobody else
hosting,
is
like, it's kind of,
already.
for us specifically, it's going to be,
The
like, the only
historic.
things we're adding are historic, like,
Okay.
historic, whatever, right?
So like if you wanted to do a self-guided tour of the significant homes on Indiana Ave,
You could do it from the
you could
app.
do it from the app. And
Okay.
you would have information about each one of those homes, like
Yeah,
it's a
and someone
self-guided
narrating
tour.
the,
So like, for example, you could have all the murals in town and a person could do a mural walk all independently on their own, or the Parks Department
Exactly.
could do a trail walk. That's just, yeah,
Okay,
cool.
okay. So then for people to have the app, does that cost anything for them? Okay, so you just get people to download the app,
yeah, so
And
that's where we're.
and then
like,
when they're
if-
advertising, they're saying, hey, check us out on Facebook or on this. Okay,
So we're gonna do, after you guys have a month to noodle around with this app, we're going to, like, Michigan City LaPorte Convention and Visitors Bureau is gonna help us with the marketing of this. And probably we'll be able to do something like buildings of significance, especially public buildings. We'll be able to, print out a QR code to stick on their window, like, learn about this building, right? Download AutoCast now, like, that kind of thing.
okay,
It'll help us also, I think, with, like, some of the buildings we've talked about, like the Masonic Lodge, the Odd Fellows Building, like, being able to draw a little bit more attention to them, like, that's part of how we can use this tool is,
yeah,
drawing attention to notable residents, notable buildings that people aren't hearing about all the time.
yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I just was trying to figure out the logistics and
Yeah,
then
so-
what other people do with it, so that's great, I love it, okay.
So download AutoCast, Michigan City, like, they've got some great, little, like, things about, like, the public art in Michigan City. That's a great place to start. Yeah,
Okay.
it's really fun to shake my head, yes. Okay, so those are your assignments for January. Take it away, Deb. Are you using the screen?
Oh, everybody's going out there.
I just come out here because I can't see it.
Oh, look at him, a little devil dog.
It's not what we do.
Dog whisperer
All
was
the
on the
TVs
TV.
now, they're smart, they default to like whatever their prepaid.
These are one.
Yeah, yeah, their prepaid programming is defaulted to.
Continues to stay.
Cool.
Doesn't do this
What I
flashing.
titled it is either preservation rate of 16 or substitute materials or something like that.
But like, did they pay for this?
Just sticking with what we don't, shouldn't do.
Is it app or is it a website?
It keeps flashing and more.
Let's go way back. Or doing by, sort of by date, and it should come up at the top.
So OTO cast,
Yes. Got it.
which is
Just hit date modified
using
top of
the
that column.
AutoCast.
Her name is Amy.
The R.
Yeah,
Yeah, okay. Okay, I think it sounds right.
Michigan City Public Art Committee has been using what
You know, when you move back.
exactly for what you were talking about.
I'm gonna need to move.
Yeah.
Okay,
You can sit on this side if you wanted a cushy chair.
so
still.
finally, we have a presentation before I'm done. I've been promising this for months. So preservation, brief 16, is about the use of substitute materials on historic buildings, on the exteriors. So this is something that the National Park Service put together. Oh, thank you, good. Can move my own slides, nice. I will have to say, this has come up a long ways in the time that I've been here, because the first presentation I did, I had to bring a slide projector, and we shot it up on the wall. So, thank you for moving up with better technology. This is so easy. So, this is something that the National Park Service put together. They have a whole bunch of preservation briefs, and initially, they did this one in 1988. And they've had a few little updates since then, but you know, a lot of new products have come out on the market since 1988. And I think most importantly, there's been a real shift in thinking in the National Park Service and preservation generally to be a little more accepting of substitute materials. Sometimes it's necessary because the original ones don't exist, and sometimes it's just that a modern material is actually better. So just depends. There's a lot of things to consider. So we're going to look at this tonight. The Park Service did a presentation right after this new brief came out in 2023, fall of 2023. And then the National Alliance of Preservation Commissions came up with a good presentation later. So I'm going to draw a little bit on both of those. So which way do I want to go? That way. Okay, so the essence of it is, can we use the material or not? That's what all the people are going to be wondering that fill out a COA and come in front of you. So in the case of the Wicked Witch, you know, can it be built out of gingerbread? We have to make this decision. So one thing to think about is imitative materials as opposed to substitute materials. So an imitative material is used from the very beginning on a house. So for instance, George Washington's Mount Vernon has wood that's made to look like block. So those are different. Substitute materials come along later when something original has to be replaced. And I think a really important thing that they've put out in this presentation is that the integrity is always diminished when you use a substitute material. Whenever it's replaced, even when it's in-kind material, the integrity has been diminished because it's not original. Now, that doesn't make it bad. It just means it's not what was there from the beginning. And things change over time. So there have been a number of substitute materials historically. Stucco is a substitute material. Cast concrete, very popular early part of the 20th century. Terracotta, those are all substitute materials. And now, you know, we consider those historic and important. So when you're looking at whether you should use a substitute material or not, there's a number of things to look at. So is the historic material still available? You know, sometimes it just isn't even made anymore. Say it's asbestos roof shingles, can't get those. So what are you going to find instead? You have to do something different. Are there people skilled in that trade that can do whatever you need replaced? That's an issue. I mean, we fight that battle with windows all the time. There's wonderful windows out there, but if we can't find anyone to fix them, do we tell people they have to repair them if there are no people to do it? Sometimes the original material wasn't durable from the beginning. I think you see a lot of that up at the Century of Progress homes. Almost all of those have new exterior cladding on them because the material that they used originally didn't last. And sometimes it's even been replaced. The raw stone's been replaced twice. So that's a problem. If you're looking at a secondary feature, maybe it doesn't matter if it's the same as on the front. New construction, that falls under a whole different set of guidelines in your guidelines. So if you're looking at new construction, modern materials are used from the beginning. If you're reconstructing a missing feature, that is new construction, so that's a time substitutes would be appropriate. Sometimes it's code required. You know, maybe not very many have this, but if it had wood shingled roof, that is not a safe material. You're going to have a hard time insuring your house. So maybe you need to look at something that gives you a similar look, but isn't going to catch fire real easily. And then just enhanced resilience, sustainability is an important thing too when you're looking at it. Come on. Be with me here. There we go. So looking at some of the substitutes that are out there, masonry, historically stone, concrete, that kind of thing. Now there's precast, there's composites that look very much like the original masonry and are quite durable. Architectural metals, you see in this picture, they're putting up a new material that is not anywhere close to the original. But it's going to look good. One thing to consider too is that this is at the top of a building, so the location of where things are getting replaced makes a big difference. If it's 30 feet up in the air, it doesn't matter. As long as it looks good, it's not going to be as big a deal as if it's at eye level where it's going to be scrutinized very carefully. So location is a big deal there. Siding, you get lots of requests for that generally on COAs. So used to be wood or asbestos. Asbestos shingles are hard to find, although there are some companies that do make one that looks very similar. But there's a lot of good choices out there. There's some composites. There's polyash from Boral is a wonderful substitute for wood, and it's going to last longer than modern wood siding is. Roofing, that's a real change. You know, it's really hard to get barrel tile. The City Hall in Goshen right now is replacing, or was going to replace their clay tile, barrel tile roof, and the cost was amazing. And they found that it really, in the long run for them, was cheaper to take it all off and replace the broken tiles and put it all back on. They replaced the underlayment and all of that. It's looking really, really good, and it's, even though there's a lot of labor involved, it's still cheaper than the original. However, there are some substitutes. I've seen a metal roofing that looks like that tile, and I should have included that in here. It's deceptive. If you aren't really, really close to it, it is very hard to tell the difference, and it's also very long-lasting. Decking for a porch, you know, used to be nothing but wood. The old wood was good, the new wood is not lasting long. New growth wood just doesn't have the durability. So there's a number of composites out there that are good. As long as it's not a shiny finish, it can look a lot like wood. Is that seriously the end? Okay, maybe it was. So, okay, thank you. Oh, there are more. I think. One more, okay. And molding and trim. So again, historic material would have been wood, and that's good as long as it lasts, but afterwards, this is a good time to recommend a substitute. A cellular PVC, composite, they're going to be very durable. The big thing is on that, it needs to be paintable. So there's some very good substitutes that I think you'd have a hard time telling unless you went up and actually tapped on it with your finger. You probably wouldn't know. So things to look for in a substitute, the properties of the material itself, so the composition of it, does it absorb water? That's something to consider. If you're using something on the outside, you got to be really sure it's not absorbent. What kind of flame spread does it have? Is it insect resistant? That's a benefit of many of these PVC products. Termites are not going to be eating those. What kind of finishes do they typically come with? So particularly on siding, you want something that's going to be a smooth finish and not a wood grain. This wood grain should never look like most wood grain siding looks. That looks like damaged wood. If you go buy new wood siding, it's going to be smooth. So the kind of finish you can get is important. You need to know about installation, how difficult that is. On a composite material, you want to be sure that the two materials, the physical and chemical properties, work together. That's important. And how do the materials compare, the substitute versus the original? Is the dimension the same? Is the texture the same, like we talked about? Thermal expansion and contraction, how does it compare to wood, especially if it's going to be between a couple of other things? If it expands a lot more, contracts, you're going to have a mess on a building. So it needs to be very similar in expansion and contraction. And what's the service life? So it's just really important that the materials all work together. It's a complete envelope, and you want everything to work together. And performance. This is a really big deal. You want it to be durable. You want the color to be stable. I know about 25 years ago or so when they came out with the dark colors of siding and they had red, that red siding was turning pale in just a couple years, and a lot of siding got replaced. And now siding can be in those dark colors. They've figured out how to make it hold those colors much longer. So stability is important. Does it resist abrasion and impact? Another reason not to approve vinyl siding, because it doesn't do that. But you want to look at other products, composites. If a stone hits it from a lawnmower, is it going to leave a big dent in it, which would never happen on wood generally? Is it repairable? Something to think about. If it can't be repaired, then it's going to have to be replaced, and that's going to be expensive. So you might look at a material, and the property owner might say, I can't afford to make this replacement, but you have to think about if you go with the cheaper material and you have to replace it every 10 years, over time, you're going to have a lot of money invested in that. So it's cost over time that you need to be considering, especially if it's in a high-traffic area. And what's the track record of the product? Want to research that. Have there been any lawsuits? How long's it been on the market? They might come out and say, oh, this product has a 50-year guarantee. Well, is the company going to be here in 50 years? And how long's it been on the market now? If it's only been out there a couple of years, it's really hard to know how it's going to hold up over time. So those things are just extremely important. Warranty does not equal the service life of the product. And finally, just this updated preservation bulletin. It is 22 pages long, so it's not exactly brief, but for a government document, that's not too bad. But it is interesting if you ever have time to look at it a little bit. But just remember that this addressing these new materials in here is not a blanket approval for all substitute materials. So really, each one needs to be individually reviewed and then looking at it on the property that the people are thinking about using. Is it good in that application? So that is pretty much it. Any questions?
I do have a question.
Mhm.
So, you said those.
You need to be on the mic too.
Do you have to come?
You can
Does this work? Okay, my question, Deb, is you said that some of those substitute materials we need to review, like on a case-by-case basis. Would our relationship with Indiana Landmarks, would that person help us by making a recommendation about whether or not this substitute material in the proposed use would be acceptable?
Right,
Groovy.
yes, yep, that would be part of the staff review. They would look at that, and there are certain ones that are pre-approved, they've been on the market a long time, and they have a super good track record, unless something weird happens, they would always be approved, but yeah, that's what we're here for, is to,
Sometimes when we're being presented with something, like the recommendation is going by the guidelines, and then it's kind of vague.
yes,
And I know it's purposefully vague so that we can make a case-by-case decision. Do we need to be careful about how if we're approving something, do we need to be careful about how we're wording the approval to make sure that we're not setting a standard that this is acceptable in all applications?
right, that's a very good point, yes. If you're doing something that's a little unusual or hasn't been done before, it's good to put that in your motion for approval, why you're doing that, so that if somebody questions it in the future, you can go back and say, because of this and this, we approve that. So that's really good, that helps make your motion defensible.
One more question. When someone is filling out the exception, is one of the questions are going to be asked if they're using a substitute material, like for the trim work, is one of the questions are going to be asked, is this paintable?
Yes, yep, that's a question that should always be asked of the homeowner.
Okay.
Yep,
All right.
Okay.
I think that's all the
All
questions
good?
I have.
okay, thank you.
Deb, we're going to miss you so much. You've been such a huge help to the city of LaPorte. All right, well then, let's send you out with a bang and rock through the rest of this meeting, shall we?
Let's do it.
All right. We do not have any new business. You guys have your assignments for next month. We also have a guest with us this evening, a visitor. We have Amy Riley from the Michigan City LaPorte Convention and Visitors Bureau. You guys got to really work on that one. And she's just here kind of learning about our group to help us get ready for 2026, where we're making some progress forward. We're going to work with them a lot to get folks to just be a little bit more knowledgeable about historic LaPorte and come interact with that a little bit more, because that'll make it easier for us to protect buildings. So Amy, thank you for being here. She said she didn't want to talk today, so. And announcements. Do we have any announcements heading into January?
My term is up. So if you look on the list,
So am I not inviting you back? Is that-
well, I don't know, so, but I just wanted to say, if my term is up, if I am not back, I have learned a lot and appreciated everything here, so,
We're having Fonda back. This,
Bye, Fonda. I will remember
we
you
can't have any
fondly.
more vacancies.
I will not be here in January. I am going to be at a landscapers convention.
Ooh. You're gonna be talking about bushes.
No, I'm going to learn about them. I'm going to be a student, the education.
Well, then we might just not be having a meeting in January. Well, we have new people, but they're not starting until January. So then we get them for the whole term. But I still have one vacancy besides Fonda to fill.
yeah, in the January, if I remember correctly, January and February meetings are pushed back to Wednesdays because of the holidays in those months.
Yeah, I mean, in the back of your packet is David was so kind to make us a schedule that we can hang on our fridges at home.
And that is how I knew
So
I had a
that's-
conflict next month, because I put it all in my calendar immediately as soon as I received it.
Cool.
In fact, I was so worried about missing this meeting, I actually came last night thinking it was last
Just
night.
to
So I
make
was a day
sure.
early.
I'm gonna hang this on my fridge next to the band concert schedule. So speaking of band concerts, if you're looking for a great evening of Christmas music, LaPorte High School's wonderful bands will be performing at the LaPorte High School Performing Arts Center tonight at 7 o'clock. My middle kid is in the wind ensemble. They play very last, so even if you only want to hear them, just come at 7:45 and you can still hear Gigi. And you'll get to hear some of the members of those bands performed at different homes and buildings during the candlelight tour. So they're also in those bands. All right, if there are no further, go
Speaking
Peter.
of that, if anybody didn't get a copy of the history book from the candlelight tour, I have some extras.
Got 'em.
Deb, did you get one?
All right. Well, if that's it, would someone please make a motion to adjourn the December 16th meeting at 6:11 PM?
So moved.
Second.
Second. All in favor of adjourning the meeting at 6:11 PM, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Happy holidays.